We believe that there's a massive hall of records that's underneath the pyramids. It goes beyond the Giza Plateau. It actually, there are tunnel networks between Giza and Saqqara, about 20 miles away, that are completely closed off by the Egyptian government. And there is evidence of this advanced technology all throughout that. And this is all going to be coming out in the years ahead. I can promise you, you can hear it here, but you'll look back on this conversation and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's what he was talking about.
Tim said it first.
That's right.
Welcome to the Acid for Squares podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Dahl.
And I'm Cody Blue. And if you like what we're doing here, please like, subscribe, rate, comment, smash that notification button. It helps us out a lot. And on today's episode, we have a short episode, but we have an extra special one. We're here with the Grand Master of the Knights Templar, Tim Hogan. Thank you for being on, brother.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah, we're going to jump right into it. So why don't you tell us a little bit, what's up? What is the Knights Templar, and what are some of the secrets? Why is it important and pertinent to people today?
Sure. Well, so Knights Templar was actually, it actually goes back to 1057, even though most standard historians will say it was founded in 1118. But it's old. We're talking old history. The Knights Templar always stood for individual freedoms. They were responsible for helping to set up the Magna Carta. Later, they were responsible for helping to set up the United States of America, as well as several other countries around the world with the idea of freedom, that people need the freedom to be able to experience, to be able to do things, to be able to learn, and to be able to grow. And that freedom is just as important today as it's ever been. So some would even say it's more important because we're moving into a new area where there's new technologies. We're about to enter in the world of AI, where things are going to think for us. And we need to preserve the human spirit. And that includes the spirit of adventure, of exploration, and the freedom to just assemble, the freedom of the press to be able to do things like this, to get information out, and to help humanity grow into its greatest potential.
And so the Knights Templar is a secret society, correct?
Yeah, it's been a secret society.
Why the secrecy?
Why the secrecy? What's the secret?
Well, largely it's because for centuries, the Knights Templar were being persecuted for trying to promote freedom amongst people. And so they've always had to do things kind of covertly underground. You know, the American Revolution was planned in pubs, literally, and in secret meetings to try to give birth to a new nation where we had the rights that we have today. And the United States isn't perfect. We're still a work in progress. But I guarantee you that if you were to travel to most countries around the world, they don't have the freedoms that we do. Mm-hmm. They can't just do a show like this. Facebook is still banned in many countries, as an example. And as a result, the people who have always tried to promote freedom have always been suppressed. And so the Knights Templar have always had to be largely underground in order to get things done. And we've promoted ideas that were contrary to, for example, church doctrine. There's still very much a religious hold on people, and we believe in freedom of religion, but we also believe in separation of church and state, and that religion should not be controlling the state. And for that, we've been demonized, we've been marginalized. There's been indoctrination created amongst the people to suggest that all kinds of crazy stuff about us to keep them from looking into what we're really doing. So.
With the rise of information due to the internet, there is a culture of conspiracy that has risen. And many of the conspiracies have absorbed the quote-unquote secret societies, the Knights Templar, the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons. Can you take a moment moment to demystify the conspiratorial perspective on all this, or are they justified? Those thoughts, are they pulling the puppet strings?
I mean, I will say there are secret societies out there that have their own self-interests in mind, which you always have to be wary of, and people should be wary of. But there are also secret societies out there that genuinely want to help promote the common good of society. And have there been some conspiracies? Yes. The founding of the United States was a conspiracy. Even to give you an idea, at one point in time, you really couldn't become a state in the United States unless there was a Masonic Grand Lodge within that territory first. So, like, for example, in Colorado, the Grand Lodge was established in 1865, but Colorado didn't become a state until 1876. So, but the reason is there was a belief that these Grand Lodges established civility within the region, and that they promoted good governance and the welfare of the people. They took care of the people. You needed that order if you were going to have a state in that territory.
Yeah.
And so, was it a Masonic conspiracy? I mean, it was certainly involved, but it was more about they already had the order set up to do it, I mean.
This is very fascinating because there's a widely held perspective, because the Pilgrims were Puritans,
right,
that Christianity is the underpinning of America, and it is maybe perhaps
it's a part of it, but really, I mean, the founding fathers were deists. They believed that while they had Christian aspects, I mean, Benjamin Franklin, for example, was a Quaker. He came from a Quaker background, which is totally different perspective than, say, a Baptist, today or whatever. But
America's occult history is very interesting because I think there is a return to the quote-unquote occult, right?
Yeah.
Because the internet, it has taken all these teachings and it's sort of demystified a lot of this. I mean, look at so much of the mindfulness stuff or ancient spiritual practices from the East that are being rebranded, corporatized, and pumped back out, whether it's meditation or breath work or sound healing. So this really, what we're experiencing is a return to the occult.
Correct.
So can you talk a little bit about why occultism is essentially a focal point of decentralization, which is the backbone of Americana and the Founding Fathers?
Sure. I mean, well, occultism and these esoteric thoughts, these ideas, Hermetic philosophy, they were based on the idea that, first of all, the human soul is a co-creator in our future. Mm-hmm. And the second part is that there are natural forces and cycles to things. And if you understand those forces and those cycles, then you can help influence them and create better outcomes for yourself and for the world. The second thing is that occultism is based on the language of symbols. And it's understanding that symbols, not only do they contain a power within themselves, but they point to ideas that are bigger than the symbol itself.
Yeah.
Right? And occultists and the secret societies, largely who've practiced this, has understood religious texts, for example, from a symbolic standpoint instead of from a literal standpoint.
Yeah. When it comes to the Knights Templar, I know that the Ark of the Covenant is a major piece of this. Now, speaking of symbolism, is it a symbol or is it an actual thing? And on top of that, because the stuff that's been happening under the pyramids right now, which that's where the Ark came from, right?
Correct.
Is there something going on there?
Yeah, can you explain what's going on with that?
It's both. So on the one hand, the Ark is described as a communication device that was in the sanctum sanctorum of the temple, right? Mm-hmm. The Holy of Holies of the temple. Temples were set up like the human body in antiquity. So like you can even see this in a cathedral, for example. When you go into a cathedral, the baptismal font's at the area of the belly button, the choir's at the area of the lungs, the priest speaks from the area of the heart, the sacraments kept at the area of the third eye or the brow. And that's where the sanctum sanctorum is. So on the one hand, it represents within your sanctum sanctorum, within your forehead, is your communication device with the divine, which is really your pineal gland, right? So that's what it represents on a symbolic standpoint, right? But on a actual physical standpoint, it is also a physical device from a Templar perspective, and what you also find in the ancient Egyptian temples and such. It was a literal capacitor that generated electricity, and it was a remnant of an Atlantean technology. Atlantis, when Plato talks about Atlantis, 9,000 years before he existed, that was during the time of the Younger Dryas. And that is actually when there was a massive cataclysm that caused mass flooding all over the world. The ice sheets all melted within about 20 years. There was 3 miles of ice sheets that all melted within 20 years.
That's like 12,000 years ago, correct?
12,000, yeah, right, exactly. About 12,500. And it was, we think it was from comet fragments that hit it and melted it. It formed everything from the Great Lakes to the English Channel. It's what separated Iceland and Greenland and the UK from Europe. It was all one land at one point in time. All that melting separated it all. It's what expanded the Mediterranean Sea, and it caused mass cataclysm around the world. So, but we believe there was an advanced civilization that existed prior to that, and we find the evidence of it. And really what we're building now is we're trying to get back to where we were before. And Francis Bacon outlined this in his book, The New Atlantis. And there are things in Egypt, including under the pyramids, that point to super advanced technology that was down there. And the Templars first started finding this back in the 1200s. They went into Egypt. You can find Templar graffiti at all the major temples in Egypt. You can also find it at places like Göbekli Tepe, which is literally a architectural wonder from 12,000 years ago that the regular establishment didn't discover till the 1990s. But if you go there, like only about 10 minutes from Göbekli Tepe, you will find Templar graffiti from the 1200s. Because we were looking into it back then, recognizing that there was an advanced civilization that had existed that had collapsed. All we're doing now is getting back to where we were before.
There's so much evidence for everything that you've been saying that's been coming out over the past several years. The water erosion on the Great Sphinx. Everything. So this most recent discovery with, I guess, the infrared technology, discovering
the SAR technology, the satellite looking at what's under the Giza Plateau.
Can you speak on that a little bit?
Sure.
And explain how, from the Knights Templar perspective, what this is we're now discovering again, or remembering, I should say.
We believe that there's a massive hall of records that's underneath the pyramids. It goes beyond the Giza Plateau. It actually, there are tunnel networks between Giza and Saqqara, about 20 miles away, that are completely closed off by the Egyptian government, and there is evidence of this advanced technology all throughout that. And this is all going to be coming out in the years ahead. I can promise you, and you can hear it here, but you'll look back on this conversation and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's what he was talking about.
Tim said it first.
That's right. So, but particularly under the Giza Plateau, there is more technology and evidence of what they're going to find is that we've been saying this forever, but the pyramids were not tombs. There are pyramids that are tombs that were built later, but the main pyramids on the Giza Plateau were not built as tombs. They were not only used as a power plant at one point in time, and then they became initiation centers after the power plant wasn't working anymore. So
you're talking about how essentially in the past they would design these temples and these cathedrals like the body. And this ties into the as above, so below, as within, so without.
That's right.
And understanding the connectedness and the connectivity, interdimensionality between heaven and earth.
That's right.
So when you say an energy center, if you have any concept of acupuncture and how it works, if you start to apply that to the earth, the idea of creating essentially a physical monolith that is an acupressure point to essentially heal the spiritual body of the material world, is that what you're talking about?
That, and it actually released energy that powered things in temples nearby. There was actually electricity that was coming from the pyramid. They're all built with these granite, which is piezoelectric, which means as you put pressure on it, it releases electricity. But then when you also put things like these arcs inside of them, within the arcs was put mana, according to the Bible. What this mana was, it was monoatomic elements. It was metals in a monoatomic state, which makes it exotic matter, which makes it superconductive. So you have this superconductive substance in a capacitor that builds up electricity in a pyramid that's piezoelectric to begin with on a point of the Earth where there's electromagnetic lines of force. It's just going to create power, not only for the Earth, that's going to influence weather systems. It's going to release lightning, which produces nitrate for the soil, which causes everything to grow better as a natural fertilizer, and it stimulates healing in the body. So it's all around why we believe in the ancient world they had developed this technology, and then the whole thing collapsed with this Younger Dryas cataclysm.
So what we've been trying to figure out essentially is this Nikola Tesla's free energy, or is this more ritualistic? And
both.
Okay, so it sounds like it's both.
Both. And Tesla was an initiate. He was a Templar initiate, by the way.
Oh yeah, they did call him he communicated with aliens, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The other thing I'll say related to that, and this is going to sound far out, but it's been a secret, but it need not be a secret anymore. There's a reason why these pyramids, both at Giza and at Teotihuacan in Mexico and Xi'an in China, they're all aligned with Orion's belt for a reason. And if you go to the main temples in Egypt, all of them have a hieroglyph on them. It says Saba, which means Stargate. There was a belief amongst the ancient Egyptians, the pharaohs, that they had some sort of technology they were tapping into that allowed them to communicate with God's particular people or other beings, particularly in the Orion constellation.
Wow.
And this is why the god Osiris was associated with Orion. It's the reason why when pharaohs were depicted with their triangular aprons, it was in the shape of the Orion constellation. There was a belief that they were communicating with them and they were getting knowledge to preserve the civilization. Not as much to build it, but to preserve it. And that it was believed that original technology came from there.
Wow.
So, and that'll come out more in the years ahead.
Since we have to wrap this up, which I think is breaking my heart that we can't talk to you more.
Whenever we can have you back on,
yes.
we'd love to.
Yeah, we'll do it another time. We'll do more.
Is there anything that you would like to tell our listeners, or anything you think is really important information that people need at this time that maybe you have access to that might not?
The only thing I would warn people is we're developing AI right now. It's going to process information in a way that the human mind can't by itself. And it's going to lead to all kinds of breakthroughs in medical science and in technologies and all kinds of things. And we're going to move into an age where it's going to communicate with robots and everything else that are going to do things for us. But that technology is also going to be our Achilles heel. And there will come a time, maybe not right away, but in the future, where there will be probably a massive solar flare that will wipe out everything. And if we don't know how to do things still, we're going to be totally screwed. And we're going to fall back just as far as we did before during the Younger Dryas. So while we need to use this technology, we also have to think for ourselves and continue to know how to do things on our own. Because I will tell you right now, the government has already assessed that if that were to happen, if there was a massive solar flare that wiped out everything electric, wiped out your cell phone, wiped out all the satellites, they estimate that within 2 months, 85% of the population will be dead.
Woo!
Wow.
So, enjoy it, but also keep your wits about you and know how to do things. Know what kind of herbs you can eat to cure you for things, and how to grow things. It's our Achilles heel. It's great while we have it, but all it takes is one massive solar flare to wipe it all out.
Yeah.
Wild. Tim, you are brilliant. Our executive producer, Michael Mazzola, connected us with you. And
Thank
I
you.
know a lot had
He's
happened.
a great guy.
Amazing man.
Yeah.
We could listen to you forever. And so you have an open invitation to come back whenever you would like, and I hope you will take up on that opportunity.
I will do it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're brilliant, and you speak so well about all of this. Is there any way that people can find you?
People can find me on Facebook. They can also find me on Instagram. They can also find me on YouTube. They
Just
can
Tim Hogan everywhere?
Yeah, Timothy Hogan. If you Google Timothy Hogan, you'll find me. So
Okay. Go follow our man. All right, gang. Thank you for staying with us. Like, subscribe, rate, comment, smash that notification button. www.patreon.com @AskForSquares.
/
whatever they know. Follow us on social media, Ask for Squares, and stay weird. Until next time, we love you all. Be well and look out for that solar flare.
Bye.